This episode of Bullet Heaven was made possible by UFO Interactive. Arcade goers in the 90s are always quick to remember the Raiden series when it comes up in conversation. Indeed, much like R-Type and Gradius in the 80s, Raiden often invokes the same kind of nostalgia, especially in shooting game fans. Though the series has changed hands in recent years, it has also remained quite strong. Using Taito Type X arcade hardware, Moss later took the reins and marked the series' return after 11 years in 2005 with Raiden 3. They have mostly succeeded in continuing the series proper, though Raiden 3 was kind of a rocky start, as we saw in Bullet Heaven, episode 35.
In 2007, the Raiden legacy continued with Raiden 4, released to arcades also on Taito X hardware. It was later ported to the Xbox 360 in 2008 for Eastern audiences, released in North America by UFO in 2009, and has subsequently just seen release on the PlayStation 3 via PSN on April 30th, 2014 as the enhanced Raiden IV Overkill. With a brand new mode of play, Raiden IV Overkill offers quite a bit of new content for fans that may have already delved deep into the original Xbox 360 release in 2009. Let's take a closer look.
Raiden 4 has it pretty easy in the gameplay department. Just like every other installment in the series, Raiden 4 has the same 8-way movement, progressive power-ups, and bomb attacks as its many predecessors. However, unlike the games in the Raiden series that came before it, Raiden 4 has much better feeling control, with a movement rate that's quite a bit snappier than Raiden 3. This is great since, by and large, the enemy bullets that'll be whizzing around the screen are still particularly speedy compared to the movement rate you'll have, despite the boost.
Weapons can be powered up through various levels with colored icons that are dropped from large carrier ships. Red pickups boost the Vulcan, blue enables the linear laser, and purple will unleash the always impressive proton cannon, which is two variants that can be selected at game start. The colors cycle as long as the player that released them continues to fire, and will pause when firing is paused in turn. The power-up will also drift towards the player when firing is paused as well. In two-player games, positioning yourself behind the other player and firing will create a powerful scatter shot regardless of weapon type.
Just like in Raiden 3, a secondary missile attack can also be obtained which cycles just like the main weapon power-ups. M fires missiles in a linear manner with no homing. Radar-guided missiles obtained with an R pickup will track enemies and emplacements at a slowish pace, while H-Icon's homing missiles will chase your foes all over the screen and comes in pretty handy when taking out sneaky little buggers that come in from the sides of the screen to take you out when you're not looking. Of course, catching a fairy can help a player recover from an untimely or cheap death. With missiles armed, you can also refrain from firing to charge up a large salvo of missiles, which can boost your score with each impact.
Aside from this, there is very little to complicate Raiden 4's gameplay in terms of mechanics. A typical active rank system does mean that bullets will get mighty fast fairly quickly though, and the overall challenge to the game is pretty stiff, since most, if not all of the enemies have fire that tracks your position. It feels like you have to be in constant motion to keep from biting it without far-reaching spread fire. All of these gameplay traits apply to every mode Raiden 4 has as well.
Speaking of, there are a great many modes to play through in Raiden 4 Overkill. The emphasis of the gameplay is the titular Overkill mode, which introduces exclusive stages and new scoring mechanics to the Xbox 360's 7-stage arrange mode. More on that later. Overkill mode is where the bulk of your achievements will come from as well, and they can only be unlocked at a certain difficulty. As far as the additional mechanics go, they can be a bit distracting, especially since your opposition tracks you at all times and can catch you from behind with a single bullet cheap shot while you're focusing on the lingering enemy ship. This makes for quite a bit more risk-reward though.
Meanwhile, additional mode is the same 7-stage set as the 2009's Xbox 360 mode, and arcade is the original arcade game's 5-stage set. All of these modes feature the ability to play as either the red player 1 or blue player 2 ship, dual play in the form of 2-player co-op, and the ever-challenging brain-melting double mode of play, in which players control both ships at once. There is also a single-player worldwide ranking score attack with online PSN leaderboards, an unlockable boss rush mode, and bonus features such as a gallery in which you can get up close and personal with the 3D models in the game.
Despite the rather simple style of play, Raiden IV Overkill is not only still engaging enough to hold a player's interest and beg to be improved upon, but also has enough content to last a very long time for seasoned vets to sink their teeth into, especially with some of the trophy requirements. The ability to rotate the screen for vertical monitors is also a great touch, though pretty standard nowadays.
So, the gameplay here is as solid as ever. But what about the scoring?
Raiden 4's scoring was simple enough at first. The core mechanics involve shooting stuff as quickly as possible as they appear on screen, with a maximum multiplier of 5 times. Learning where stuff appears obviously helps, and makes for a gameplay hook that merely emphasizes memorization. Additionally, there are small medals scattered around each stage and dropped from key enemies, which each yield 3,000 points. Of course, reaching the maximum weapon level or collecting the maximum bomb stock also results in 10,000 points for each additional pickup of the same type. Simply hitting your enemies results in a steady climbing tally as well. You can also boost your score considerably by using charged missile salvos.
The stage end tally also allows for a pretty hefty boost, which factors in the amount of lives remaining, total bomb stock, and total medal count towards a large stage end score. In the case of 2-player games, a small mini-competitive layer of scoring is also added, in which players compete for a higher enemy destruction rate, which yields 10,000 points per win per stage.
All 3 modes have these sets of rules in some form or another, but Overkill mode adds the ability to collect some pretty extreme mid-stage bonuses from Felled Large Craft. In Overkill, larger enemies stay behind and can continue to be shot or overkilled. In doing so, a gauge on the enemy will fill up to a maximum overkill level of 5. A level 1 bonus is worth 10,000 points, level 2 nets you 20,000, level 3 50,000, level 4 70,000, and level 5 grants its collector 100,000 points.
Meanwhile, rather than a numeric multiplier, players receive medals in relation to the speed in which an enemy is killed. Larger for quick kills, smaller for slower kills, and none if you take too long to take care of business. Larger medals give you 3,000 points, while smaller ones give you just 1,000. In the case of the overall stage bonus, collected overkill bonuses will factor into the total score. All in all, the new overkill mechanics really spice up the gameplay from what it used to be in vanilla Raiden 4, though, as stated before, it can be a little distracting.
It all comes to a head in the online PSN ranking, where players use all of the scoring methods there are to get as high an entry on the online leaderboards as possible. It can get pretty competitive, so high score chasers will feel right at home. Whether it's the driving OST, sweet arranged tracks, smooth visuals, or cool special effects, one thing that never really disappoints in Raiden IV Overkill is its presentation. Even the opening cinema is pretty decent despite some really old looking CG. And let's face it is fairly old.
You can definitely tell throughout that you're playing a Raiden game with several familiar enemies seen all the way through the whole game, not to mention the telltale weaponry, all gloriously rendered in high definition. The crazy snaky proton cannon is always fun to watch as it chains through multiple foes at once. Cool explosions and great smoke effects accentuate an already solid visual package.
The tunage here is also pretty great compared to Raiden 3's almost stock OST, though admittedly Overkill's arranged mixed tunes from the third game are still pretty slick. The sound effects are also pretty good stuff, with satisfying explosions and cool laser effects.
The sound isn't without problems, though. The music tracks stutter a bit at the loop points, and some sound effects aren't quite as natural sounding as in the Xbox 360 version. Still, by and large, the sound in Raiden IV Overkill is strong.
As with UFO's 2013 PSN release Mamoru Curse before it, all of the DLC from the first version of Raiden 4 is also included by default into Raiden IV Overkill. The addition of the original Raiden ship and the ferry as default selectable characters is fantastic, allowing for choices that are better suited to some players' style. The original Raiden is super slow but packs a lot more power in its shots, while the ferry has a diminutive size and high mobility.
All in all, Raiden IV Overkill shows that Moss was able to greatly improve on Raiden 3's and even the original Raiden 4's shortcomings to deliver a Raiden truly fit for a new shooting age. But how does it stack up? Let's take a look.
Greatly improved over Raiden 3, Raiden 4 Overkill has the sharpest control in the series.
This game handles pretty darn well.
Much like Raiden 3, the fast enemy fire is a force to be reckoned with.
Easier difficulties can help with progress, but trophies require a higher difficulty.
Overkill mode's additional stages make this the longest version of Raiden 4 with a total of 9 stages.
With 4 full modes and online scoreboards, there's a lot to play here.
Sharp looking and smooth running, the visuals in Raiden 4 Overkill are pretty great.
The CG cinemas look a bit old, but they're also a decent touch.
Though there are some minor issues, the sound in Raiden 4 Overkill is super strong. The Go and Akira Sato soundtrack is pretty great.
On the whole, the music and sound effects are spot on.
The addition of the Overkill scoring makes this perhaps the best game in the series score-wise, even amongst different versions of Raiden 4.
Raiden 4 Overkill is a definite improvement over Raiden 3 and even the original Raiden 4, and shows that Moss could do the series justice.
PS3 players' patience has certainly paid off. Raiden 4 Overkill is a great addition to the PS3's growing STG library and shouldn't be missed by fans of 90s arcade-style shooting games. Raiden 4 Overkill gets a 4.5 out of 5. You can get Raiden 4 Overkill on the PlayStation Network for just $19.99. Not only is it cheaper on average than the Xbox 360 version at retail, but with all of the extra modes, competitive online leaderboards, and all the DLC included, this is one shmup you just shouldn't be without on your PS3.